This episode of Nintendo Expansion Pass is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support Nintendo Pop Like and the Boss Rush Network, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Network and see which tier is right for you. Thanks for your continued support. Hello everybody, welcome to Nintendo Expansion Pass here on Boss Rush Network. I'm your host, the Lights Excited Eddie V. Joining me from our writing side, it's the one, the only Josh Martinez. Hello, good sir.
Hello, Ed. It has been a month. It's been a long time.
It's been a while. Yes. Seeing your hair, your hair looks a little bit fuller. Since last time.
I mean, so some updates on me, just to hijack for a minute. I've made a career change, so I'm teaching now. So I'm a high school English teacher. So that's required me to do stuff with my hair.
Yeah.
Every day, so I'm not like looking all scraggly. So I kind of do this like little comb over swoosh thing. So on the days that I don't really need to do it, it looks super full. Like it's not that full, but because of how I do it on the days I teach, it looks weird. So it's getting cold here finally. So having the longer hair is nice to keep me warm.
Yeah, it's been raining all today. At this time, this recording, everybody, it is election day. Hopefully, you guys went out and made your vote, made your voice be heard. Probably we'll know the results by the time you guys see this episode. So, but outside of that, oh Josh, Nitty has been on fire, but racky schmacky fire. So everybody knows that Nintendo announced Alarmo just out of the blue. And we covered it on Nintendo Power Block. I have my Alarmo with me. And then a couple days later, and I think this is how it all goes. We get an announcement that Xenoblade Chronicles X is definitive edition is coming to Nintendo Switch. So now the whole Xenoblade Chronicles series is on the Switch. It's coming out March next year of 2025. But then we also got Nintendo Music as a free app for those who are Nintendo Switch Online members. So you get to hear selected. They don't have their whole library or catalog up there. They're gonna be updating it here and there. But you can hear selected game soundtracks, like the whole game soundtrack music, for those. And I've been using it, and it's been really, dude. When I tell you, I don't know who mixes who did the mixing or anything, but playing it in the car, hearing it through the headphones, it's so crystal clear. It's so good. Even the NES games, it's so good. I'm like, okay, this is weird, but it has already surpassed 1 million downloads, and they just announced this last week. That's crazy.
Well, and I mean, this thing you said that they don't have like they're rolling it out, but what they put out there is so good already. Like
Yeah.
they came out hot and it's like looking great, and then they're like, "Well, we're not even done yet," and I'm like, "Hold up, we not done yet?" It's a fantastic app. I mean, as from when I was working, and when I need to calm down kids, I put on relaxing video game music, and so now I have an app where it's like Legend of Zelda is usually one of my go-tos, and it's
Yes.
a good chunk of it's right there now. So it's just such a good app.
And then Nintendo announced some games for Nintendo 64 Mature. We covered that on Power Block. And then today, of this recording, breaking news. And everybody, please go to bossrich.net and go read um Stephanie's article about this because she was on it. She let us know, the team know, it broke everywhere that the Switch successor will be backwards compatible. Now, that might not be much, but everybody think about this. Not only are your games and digital games going to be backwards compatible, Nintendo Switch Online is also going to be compatible. So, what is currently on the system should be able to be transferred over to their next system. And plus, we could still get more systems added on. Me and Corey had this discussion a while back that even though outside of Nintendo, we only got Sega with the Sega Genesis, we can still get some Dreamcast, some Saturn. We can still get Neo Geo, Turbo Graphics. Like we could still get even PC Engine from Japan. Like we could get a lot of stuff still coming to this platform. And don't forget, if you have the expansion pass, it's only $50 a year. So people still have time to upgrade to the next tier. And maybe there's going to be another tier in the future on the successor, but for right now, for the next console that Nintendo puts out whenever they get to announcing it, all your media for Switch is going to be compatible.
I mean, it makes sense to do that because of how
Yes.
successful the Switch has been. And I mean, it was a year ago that we were saying, "Oh, look, Nintendo's starting to wind down its console with all these re-releases and remakes." And here we are a year later and they're still doing it, which means you could get all this stuff and put it on the successor and not miss a beat. Like it ensures that the momentum keeps going, and that's exactly what they need to do. And it's cool to see because with all of this news, now we're like, okay, there's no cutoff because it's going to be a continuation over. Like they're obviously going to make stuff specifically for the Switch too, but now you can carry stuff over. So that
Hmm.
means you can keep the ball rolling with your NSO. Like you said, you can add some more things. You can release some. I mean, all these remakes that came out in the last year are going to be able to be played still on the Switch too. You're not getting them just to buy time till it gets there because you can play it through. So
And your whole catalog of franchises that you have, like we just mentioned Xenoblade, most of all the Zelda games are on their cartridge, digital, and on NSO. Even though there are still some games that's not there yet, um, they still that all could carry over. So it feels like the preservation of Nintendo games from the past that is available now in the present on their console is still going to continue. So yeah, you got your GameCube Paper Mario. We can still get GameCube reveals for games for Switch right now. But we also could get stuff from Wii. Most of the Wii U catalog is on there from Nintendo on the first party. We still got Nintendo and or NES and Super Nintendo games still to unlock and N64. So we still could be carrying a lot of the first party franchises that Nintendo's not selling but might show up on NSO later on in the future. That's still going on.
yeah, and I think too what this changes the perception for me at least is that what was once oh, what Nintendo does with its NSO isn't as good as what Xbox and PlayStation are doing.
Hmm.
We're seeing it built in front of our eyes. Like we're seeing the ship built, which is really cool to see because that was a fair complaint. They didn't have an online subscription service that rose up to Game Pass, but now they're building it. Whether that's going to still be there or whether it's going to be at that tier, not still sight and we haven't seen just yet, but we're getting there, and that's cool to see because I think that shows that they're listening to gamers, they're listening to fans who have wanted that for a while because there is an intense backlog of Nintendo games that are just locked back, and now they're
Yeah.
open, and it's going to carry on. So even by the end of Nintendo Switch 2, they're going to have a robust system built. And that's still years away before we get to the end because we haven't even started the Switch 2. But not having to stop and start over each console, that helped so much because the Wii Virtual Console was great. Stopped, do a Wii U console. Stop, do the NSO. Now we're getting continuation, which is just cool to see because they can really take their time and let it cook.
Yeah, and I think the only reason why at some point in time that Nintendo wasn't doing backwards compatibility, like I said, was that there's a format change. You
Hmm.
know, Nintendo, when they did backwards compatible, they started with Game Boy. I'm separating from handheld to console.
Hmm.
Going console wise, they went from uh N64 to GameCube. So of course there's nothing backwards there. But from GameCube to Wii, Wii to Wii U, those three systems were all backwards compatible. Switch wasn't compatible because the media changed. It went back to these SD style cartridges.
Hmm.
So that's the only reason why backwards compatible wasn't happening. When Nintendo did do backwards compatible, they did it from their handheld. So all the Game Boy games did play at one point at the Game Boy Advance. Game Boy Advance games were in the DS. And at some point in time, they stopped doing that part after like the DS Lite, I believe. Um, the DS games were able to be played on 3DS. And once they got out of the handheld market or they merged it with their console team, making this hybrid system, uh, that's when backwards compatibility, went away from Nintendo's perspective because the media changed.
Yeah, and
So,
I mean, like you said, just the handheld. It's done. I mean, that's how I played a lot of my games. When I got a Game Boy Color, when my brothers got Game Boy Advance, I could still play it once my Game Boy Color crapped out. So
mhm.
yeah,
So yeah. Uh, I will say this, and then I'm gonna give it back to you, Josh. Um, it's just been so kind of wacky with the news because this is for the first time something we didn't expect for Nintendo to be doing. Just to be dropping some kind of news or announcement week after week, definitely in October and part of the beginning of November. It's just something unexpected for Nintendo because everybody would be thinking we would get all of these news in the Nintendo Direct or some kind of commercial, even like with the Legend of Zelda, Legos and stuff like that. We thought we would get something, but Nintendo's been using social media to be like, oh, here's our announcement. Here's that beta test that everybody could, well, a selected few could try, and everything. Uh, it's just they've been using social media to announce these things and then go on their merry way. So it's something kind of odd and wacky about it, but us as gamers who look forward to any kind of big video game news, when it comes to Nintendo, it's always surprising that they're being open um, about this news and putting it out there.
yeah, and I think a big part of that is just 'cause think about what's been happening before that. We were getting all these leaks, whether they were true or not. There
Mm-hmm.
was the perception out there. There was the whole thing of that developers were feeling the Switch 2 in a box, and then there was like all this kind of leaking, this stuff that was leaking that we I mean, you and I know to take it all with all kinds of salt, but a
Yes.
lot but a lot of people don't. They think, "Oh, there's some legitimacy to this." So from a marketing and a public relations perspective, Nintendo's really smart to get a in this because they're combating things. So now that all the information's coming on social media that was leaked, now it's coming out. They're kind of going that same way. So in a way, that's erasing a lot of what the misinformation and the stuff like that is. So it puts Nintendo in a really good spot to better control the narrative and have a better control on this information, because for a while there it didn't look like, whether that was true or not, it did not look like they had control over the messaging. Now they
Yeah.
do, now that they're starting to not wait till they're direct to kind of give us little tidbits here and there.
Yeah, and I think because the announcements are nothing like it's like with the games and stuff, like it's nothing big or new or they got much to show. Like those games that they announced, yeah, they'll put it in a Nintendo Direct, but their focus is probably getting gearing up for next year, gearing up for the successor announcement. Because even before Kyle was saying, we will announce the successor at a later date, and so for us, a later date should say at least Q1 of 2025, because that's their new business year and everything. So I think with the last partner directs and the indie directs, and we knowing that Donkey Kong is coming, Metroid Prime is coming, and then some other games are coming. With Xenoblade also being announced, um, we could see that they want to push all of this out, so when Q1 hits, they literally could go in, they could show off the new system. um they could have a Nintendo Direct later on. They could announce their launch lineup and partners and things like that. Get some indie devs and their games to be ported over with it.
I'm
So
looking. Oh, I
go
was just
ahead.
going to add to that. Add one thing to really keep in mind that I find interesting. If you look at Nintendo's archives for their directs, we've only had one Nintendo Direct proper. Like, we've had partner showcases, we've had that
Mhm.
museum direct, but the last time they've had just a Nintendo Direct, no Indie World, no partner showcase, no nothing like that, was June 18th of this year.
Yeah.
So that's the crazy thing, is that they're letting this information out because it's been so long since and if you look at past years, typically there's one in September. At least in the recent years, they haven't had that. So, kind of to add to your point of how unique it's been, we haven't had a Nintendo specific direct since since June, like
Yeah,
in what we're used to. So
yeah, and
it's
that's
crazy to see.
and that was the summer direct
Hmm.
for everybody. So with that being said, I mean, but I'm like, now if you think about it, we got Legend of Zelda's Echoes of Wisdom that came out. Super Mario Jamboree came out. Or Mario Party Jamboree, I should say, that came out. We got Mario and Luigi Brothership coming out, or by the time you guys see this, it'll be released. We got Donkey Kong Country. We got Emio, the Smiling Man, coming out like that. And Emio probably was the I want to say was the side of wacky announcements to start, because we didn't even think about the Famicom Detective Club. We didn't even think about um what this game could be, because I'm just like, it's everybody was so focused on it being an M-rated game coming from Nintendo. And it was just like, oh, okay, what could this be? And it ended up being Famicom Detective Club. I actually thought like maybe this could be a return from Hotel Dust, Room 213, a game from Sync. Because they did another code also. Like there could have been so many possibilities. Maybe it could have been Eternal Darkness making a return. And everything. We didn't know. We just got a creepy trailer, and then this air-rated gang, Emio, the Smiling Man, the Famicom Detective Agency. Which everybody please go watch that book club. We did it for Boss Rush. You guys would definitely enjoy it. But like the Emio commercial was like probably the first wackiness of Nintendo reveals, and then we
Hmm.
just been getting all of these um weird reveals coming out from Nintendo, like dropping, like, here's this announcement, okay, we're going away, don't come look for us. and that's how it's been. And for some reason, I think it's been working because we all been talking about it. We all been theorizing what could this thing mean, or I'm super excited that this is happening finally. You know.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, when we look at it being so different, I mean, all eyes are on Nintendo right now as everyone's waiting for the Switch
Hmm.
2. Like that's been the case since late last year. Everyone's like, "Oh, a Switch 2 reveal is imminent." Then it was going to happen in March, and then it was going to happen over the summer, and then September, and now here we are, November, and we're still saying the same things. Oh, it's going to happen early 2025. So mixing up your messaging like that is such a good strategy because one, everyone's already watching that. Like
Yes.
yeah, the PS5 Pro just released, but the next big console is the Switch 2. Like that's what everyone's wanting to see. So having a different approach means you've got people on the edge of their seat. They're not complacent. They know, okay, things are going to get dropped. We're going to get these random announcements. We're going to get another Xenoblade Chronicles X type announcement. We're going to get an Alarmo type um, announcement. So that means that we're paying attention to Nintendo longer. And from a marketing perspective, it's such a genius move on their part. Where I don't know, it's just it shows how to mix things up and just keep people talking about you in the way that you should be. So
Right.
fantastic work by them.
And I will say, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Um, there's not some. Microsoft is now focused on Indiana Jones, their that following game, and it was rumored that PlayStation 6, AMD has it's gonna be working with Sony to make that console. Uh, Whether it's true or not, I think we're still trying to get some more information about that. So that's a whole bunch of salt on that one. Those are the focus on for those two systems, but I like right now with Nintendo, we're in the realm of anything happening being announced. Um, me before me and Josh even started recording, um, I told Josh that I know that Nintendo's not gonna really give anything to Jeff Keighley for the Game Awards. Like I don't even expect anything because if you look at past Game Awards, the year Reggie was there and he brought Super Smash Brothers with Joker from Persona 5 being on there. When Ultimate Alliance 3 was got announced. Like people were so hyped to watch that E3. And then once Nintendo kind of like removed their presence, their trailers and everything, um the shows have just kind of went like downhill. Like no, of course everybody was watching it to see um the trailers and everything, but like no one was really into the awards until I would say I believe last year when folks was getting cut off from winning their awards and everything. And it just felt like the way that those developers got treated was just unfair. And then with Jeff Keighley got some criticism, I should say. He was silent for a while, but then he made his statement. So we'll see if he holds on to his word that things will change this year. Who knows? But I don't think I literally don't think that Nintendo's gonna have anything during the Game Awards. Now, if I was Jeff Keighley, if I was gonna do anything with Nintendo, I would literally beg and plead if they are working or they have in mind that a Zelda Wind Waker HD port and a Twilight Princess port was coming to Switch for next year. I would fight tooth and nail to get that announcement in my show.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because out of anything, yeah, we would love to have a Nintendo console reveal or anything that would be great. But if he could secure that, I bet you that would be the theme more people talk about the show than anything else. I mean, Astrobot wins Game of the Year, great. No one's gonna complain about that. Good process, Sony. They get that if he get that trailer, if that was an announcement that actually happened in that show, oh, the Game Awards would be trending, Nintendo would be trending, and those two games would be trending.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, let's be real. Yes, some people care about the awards, but we all go into that looking at the trailers. So you get what you want out of that. Like you said, that would be the talk of that, which is wild to think. Just because those are ports. Like
Hmm.
two ports are going to dominate the Game Award headlines if they're there, which is just why that's just how strong Nintendo has their grip on stuff like that. So yeah, like
Yes,
you fight for that if you can get it. I doubt he will, but if you can, do it.
exactly. Well, Josh, we're gonna wrap it up there. So great to talk to you, everybody. Go back and look at all the wacky Nintendo news that was on that they announced. Josh, where can they find you? And do you actually have any new writings up on bossrush.net?
Yeah, so since we're talking about all the Wii U console over, yesterday, so what was that, November 4th, I published a banter that said it's time to admit that the Wii U was not that bad. So this was on the heels of Xenoblade Chronicles X coming over to the Switch. I'm like, if the Wii U was all that bad, why is the entire library coming over to the Switch? That was the crux of my argument. And anyway, I essentially it's like it's a C plus console. It's not the F that everyone wants to give it. So that check that out. We got a lot of cool things. I don't know when this is airing, but check out. We're going to have a collaboration guide coming up on the website, a gamer's gift guide, as well as our own personal, the writing team's own personal game of the years. Those are supposed to come out probably in December sometime. So watch for those.
Mm-hmm.
Those are going to be some really cool content coming your way.
I will say this because I gotta put in my nominations, everybody. But people who know me probably already know. Um I have four games that I actually could nominate for game of the year. Um Echoes of Wisdom, Hellblade, Sinuous Saga, um Dragon Age, Velgar, and dang, what was my third? What was my fourth one? Uh, Goodness, I have
While
to
you
think
think
of
of
my.
that one, while you think of
Go
that
ahead.
fourth one, the one I'm going to throw out there because I think it's one of the most underrated franchises is Yeez 6 Yeez 6, Yeez 10 is coming
Uh,
over later in November. And from everything I've heard, if you've liked Yeez 8, which
yeah.
again, I know it's a niche one, but it's a very popular one with Zelda fans for a reason. Yeez 10 is supposed to be right on par with 8. So I
Hmm.
think that one's going to be probably up there for me because that one is I love the Yeez franchise. It's such a fun it's a good mix of a JRPG and an action adventure. So if you like Zelda and you want to mix it with RPG elements, Yeez is your franchise.
Never is my fourth game. I've been looking for East 10 and I can't find it. I don't know if they got the physical out somewhere.
It's out for all consoles, but the problem is it's such a niche that it's hard to track down. Because I found one on Amazon and they wanted 99 bucks for it. And I'm like,
Right.
"Nuh-uh."
And
I'm like,
it's
"I'm
not
not doing that."
and I can't it's not on Best Buy for me to order neither. So I may have to probably go um I think on Falcon's website. I'm probably gonna have to go to the website and order it from them from the store if I can. Because I thought that like Best Buy would have it and they don't. They only got the older Ease game.
And
So
from what I understand and speaking of ease, since I'll wrap up on that, but they're bringing more games from that franchise older games over on especially onto the Switch.
hmm
So Ys 3, Oath of Felghana, that's coming over. There's been hints of more of the older games making their way over to the West, so that's a franchise, keep an eye. But, like, to your point, Ed, I don't think 9 had a big physical edition circulation. Like, it was on the
Not
Switch, but I don't
yeah,
think it had a big one. Like, it was there, but not as popular as you might think it should be.
right. I definitely was able to order 9 because me and Dan got it for Switch. Um uh and definitely 8 I got. Um But like 10, I was just like when I was up in Appleton with Jesse in Wisconsin, we hit their Best Buy and I was looking through their Nintendo games and couldn't find it at all. Went to the PlayStation 5 section, couldn't find it at all. And I played the demo at PAX East. No, PAX West, I'm sorry. Um in September, and I was just like, okay, I'm excited for this game. I'll definitely get it. Can't find it anywhere. So
I mean, I think give it some time. Once it releases, you'll find it easier, but yeah, it's a tough one. I don't think it comes out for another week or I need to look at when it comes out, but it's coming out November for sure. I know that much.
see, I thought it was out already because everybody, um, yeah, I'll have to look it up.
It's been out in Japan for a year and a half. So,
Right, because Digital Foundry did a review about the performance. They were talking about the PlayStation 5 and the Switch version. And
mhm.
they just like we don't know if they was gonna fix it or change it when the Switch version came because it still had to be localized and stuff.
No, it's out. October 25th is when it came out. So, it's out. I need to track that down too.
Yeah. So well, we're gonna wrap it up there, everybody. Go like I said, go read Stephanie's article. Go read a lot of articles that cover a lot of this Nintendo news. Definitely check out Nintendo Power Block. We talked about Xenoblade, we talked about Alarmo and some other topics about the latest news, wacky news that came out for Nintendo. Really, everybody have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Nintendo Special Pass. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Deering, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.